Hello everybody, it's Wyvern here with another bit of Total War, Warhammer 2, Cool Wake Magic gameplay. This time around we are playing as the forces of the Tomb Kings against the Dark Elves. And so, for the Tomb Kings, obviously one of the big problems is that the Dark Elves have a lot of AP shooting. They have a lot of AP infantry even, they've got Blackguard, that sort of stuff, and of course they do have Dark Shards and they do have that sort of stuff. So they can definitely lay down a big old AP smackdown on any of your monsters, so you definitely have to watch out. And so when I built this comp, that was kind of what I was prioritizing countering, and so let's just break things down. For my lord, I did decide to bring a Tomb King, and actually you might be wondering why this is, but actually there's a cool little item he's got, the Amulet of Fasta, which sounds like Amulet of Fasta, I guess, I don't know, but it debuffs enemy armor by 30 and drops missile parry by 48, which means that those fancy schmancy Dark Shards who have a 55% missile resist from the front are going to drop down to 0 armor and 7 missile parry, so that will make them incredibly vulnerable to my archers. So I'm definitely hoping to kind of wombo combo this and knock out some of my opponent's high priority targets with my archers. He also does him Tomb Strike, which imbues him with better melee stats. The Terror is obviously relevant when he's on his Sphinx, and obviously the Sphinx isn't the best of melee combatants, but the thing is against big stuff, but the thing is the Dark Elves don't really have that much big stuff. You basically never see Hydras. If my opponent does bring Hydras, I got all these skeleton archers. I've also got Tomb Guard with halberds, so definitely not too concerned about those things. For the rest of my army, a front line of skeleton warriors intermingled with a singlet of Kent Guard just to kind of anchor things and provide me with a good, powerful melee solution. Necrotect in the middle. He does have a lot of his items, but I simply didn't position him close enough to really make use of those. I do have Restore, of course. I have Embrace of the Sun, which is a great debuff. Stone Shaper for the armor and missile resistance, and Wrath of the Creator for the extra damage. But as you can see there, he's not close to the Shopti, so definitely a bit of a mistake on my part. I also do have a Lich Priest of Death who does have his Curse of Zar and of course the Nephara Skull's Incantation, and he does have Fate of Beyond Spear Leech, so definitely some decent spells there. The 2 units that are Shopti here will give me some AP support against heavier infantry, and the carrying give me some opportunity to shut down enemy backlines. Finally, 2 units of Tomb Guard with halberds do give me some anti-large, and the 3 archers, with one of them being the Blessed Legion of Demonization, will give me some very good shooting. For my opponent, his infantry line is far superior to mine. He did bring Marathi, who is of course rather cheap, especially compared to my Tomb King. She's on Sulafet. She does have the Wand of Caradon, the Soul Stealer, Power of Darkness, Pit of Shades. She's got a lot of spells. Soul Blight, Heartrender, and Dark Sword, of course, and Enchanting Beauty. So some crazy debuffs. Very potent hero or lord here, and very, very powerful. And she's actually backed by a Sorcerer of Fire with Burning Skull and the Dark Star Cloaked. So definitely going to be a lot of winds of magic here. For his front line, my opponent has 5 units of Blackguard Corsairs who will trash everything I have here, except for the Shopti and the Kepler Guard, so I'm definitely counting on them. They are backed by 2 units of Witch Elves, though, which are going to be brutal, as well as 2 Cold One Knights to shut down enemy large. Finally, 3 units of Dark Shards with shields definitely are providing a very strong firing line that I have to watch out for. You can see I immediately try to single out a single unit of Blackguard Corsairs, figuring I'll soften 1 unit up and make things easier for the rest of my army. You can see a bunch of debuffs. My opponent gets a beautiful Pit of Shades here while I wasn't paying attention, and the Blessed Legion is being annihilated. You can see it's losing a lot of HP, and I'm just not able to get it clear, so definitely a big mistake on my part. And of course, with no Invocation from the Heck or healing, we're going to be in some major trouble. Fortunately, no models lost by the look of it, which is definitely very good. In the meantime, you can see the front line is disintegrating. You can see the carrying dove in, but this is tying down my opponent's Witch Elves. Definitely a big win for me. But my opponent is going to annihilate my front line here with his Burning Skull, just destroying 2 units basically in a matter of seconds. Meantime, my Tomb Guard with halberds do plow in, fighting these Cold One Knights, pinning them down and slaughtering them in the pits. Unfortunately, my Shopti are being encircled by the Cold One Knights, which is going to put them in a miserable position. Though my opponent's Blackguard Corsairs here have been routed off, as have these, so definitely it's a very back and forth fight already. You can see out on the flanks the Skeleton Warriors slugging out with the Blackguard Corsairs. In the back, Witch Elves getting a bit beaten up here, very low on HP. So definitely a very back and forth fight. I did drop the Amulet of Fasta on these Dark Shards, and you can see they actually took a huge amount of damage in just that one volley. But then the Cold One Knights got on top of them, and we are in deep, deep trouble. Despite the 2 halberds trying to shut them down, the Cold One Knights are still rampaging around, causing immense damage. I'm not able to get my archers clear, so definitely a big mistake on my part. A beautiful Pit of Shades here is going to wipe out these Skeleton Warriors, and things are definitely looking grim. The Tomb King is still rampaging around. Obviously, I did get my, I do believe I got my Summon to Shopti somewhere. There you can see him. The Summon to Shopti rampaging through the backlines, going after those Dark Shards. But despite that, I'm just not in that good of a position. These Shopti are really messed up. Oh, never mind. These are actually my Summon to Shopti. I made a mistake there. I do get my Shopti summoned, but nonetheless things are not going too great. Very back and forth, very less than ideal. Fortunately, the halberds, those slugging out with those Cold One Knights, dragging them into the muck. These guys did manage to flee before they rampaged, but these guys did not. They're getting slaughtered. Unfortunately, my archers are not in the best of spots, but they can still whittle down these Blackguard Corsairs and eventually, hopefully, force a rout. Over here, the Shopti are tearing through the Witch Elves. Even if they rampage, I don't really care. They're going to tear through these Witch Elves like a hot knife through butter. Over here, the Tomb King is going to dive in and go after some of these Dark Shards, and some of these remaining Ushabti doing their very best to just lay the smackdown on my opponent's troops. Fortunately, my Lich Priest of Death definitely not in the best of positions here, getting slaughtered by the Witch Elves in the pits. He's very, very squishy. You can see Marathi dives in and is going to lay the smackdown on him. Definitely a big problem for me. Over here on the flanks, in the meantime, the Ushabti still slugging out with Blackheart Corsairs, doing a great job. My archery fire tearing through the Blackheart Corsairs. So definitely the archers are doing a good job here for me, but unfortunately the Tomb Guard here is just on the flanks doing very little or really basically nothing for me. And I need to pull those Tomb Guard in to try to help. Over here, the Necrotect is leading these Skeleton Warriors, his people, into the fray. The Lich Priest of Death has actually survived, and with the terror out from the Tomb King, I am able to kind of re-rally my line, or reset my line. Necrotect is going to push in here, so we're going to throw things in a little bit into fast forward as we push into my opponent's troops. Over here, you can see I'm trying to get my archers forward, trying to get some of those shots in. I still have a decent amount of models. The Dark Shards now are going to get torn apart by the Kepler Guard rather quickly. Blackheart Corsairs are going to try to interfere here with the Tomb King, but it's really not going to happen. Tomb King's way too powerful for him, and especially with that archery fire, they're not long for this world. That said, you can see the Wand of Caradon getting a beautiful hit there on the Necrotech, basically annihilating him. And he's getting torn to shreds by Marathi very, very quickly. Fortunately, he's on foot, so she's going to have a hard time hitting him because she is at large. She doesn't have the best melee stats otherwise, and he is debuffing her, but nonetheless, definitely some rough stuff. The archers, though, definitely doing a great job just shutting my opponent's troops down. And despite his best efforts, my opponent is definitely getting bogged down here. The halberds, of course, are in here, going to help against the Witch Elves and the Cold One Knights, tear them to shreds. Over here, actually a Fate of Buna going down on the Dark Shards because I really wanted to get them off the field. While in the pits, unfortunately, Necrotech is finally going to kick the bucket here and die. And I'm not able to get any more magic out of this guy before he goes down himself. Or actually, never mind, I've made a mistake. This is the Lich Priest of Death here, but I'm not going to get much more magic out of him before he gets hit by a Soul Steer and he's being torn apart by Marathi. The archers, though, still chipping away, knocking out those Corsairs. You can see the Tomb Guard pushing forward. And, of course, my Lord is still very healthy, so things are definitely looking up for me. We're going to throw things into fast forward here as we sort of run down my opponent's troops. On the flanks, you can see the Cold One Knights rampage and are getting torn apart by the Tomb Guard halberds. Marathi over there running amok. My Ushabti is still clearing out the backline. I'm trying to get on top of these Dark Shards and those Blackheart Corsairs as we sort of chip away and destroy my opponent's backline. Marathi's being very cheeky here, and she can basically get away with it. I do try to kind of... wasn't on top of moving out of the way, actually. I thought I did try to move, but I didn't. And so she's able to kind of dive in, dive out before my Tomb Guard can really engage, and I'm suffering for it. I'm losing these archers very quickly here. That said, on the flanks, definitely the Tomb King here running my opponent's troops down, running those Dark Shards down. On the other end, the Tomb Guard has slaughtered the Cold One Knights and are now pushing towards my opponent's remaining troops, trying to clear them out. You can see these Dark Shards over here just fleeing, though, for their lives. And these Ushabti are actually going to be constantly being deactivated because of the terrain. The Sorcerer Fire here did shatter. So definitely things are all over the place right now. We're actually going to throw things into fast forward here. You just get an overarching look with tab view. You can see the Cold One Knights are going to shatter. My opponent has a few infantry units there. Dark Shards over there. Dark Shards over there, and Marathi, so definitely things are all over the place. But unfortunately, Marathi is very good at hit and runs against my troops here, and so I'm definitely going to be struggling rather badly. I'm just not able to really hit her. The projectile speed on the arrows is really not good. If they were handguns, maybe, but not with those weapons. So we're going to zoom back in and get a sight of what's going on. And you can see that, of course, Marathi is still being very cheeky. My Lord over here is going to be able to rat off these Dark Shards, get him off the field with the help of the Kepler Guard. And as we throw things in fast forward, you can see my opponent definitely not giving up to Ghost. Diving in against these Blessed Legion, who, despite, you can see that our leadership is actually broken, but it for some reason, or it's crumbling, and they're just not able to recover, and they're going to disintegrate here with Marathi's interference. I'm just not really able to save him, but I'm pulling my troops back, rallying them together. We are kind of... There's some Benny Hill action going on. You can see over here the Dark Shards fleeing the righteous vengeance of the Ushabti, who are being broken off by the trees getting in the way of their line of sight. Over here the Halberds pushing in against the Witch Elves, so definitely things kind of going in. I knew that my opponent was hiding some troops here. I just had to find them, which is definitely a good play for my opponent, trying to exploit Marathi and her powerful hit and run ability because she's mounted. But now we're just kind of rallying my troops and preparing for kind of a last stand. In the meantime, over here, you can see the Ushabti are going to manage to shatter my opponent's ground troops, and that is going to be it as my opponent's army simply breaks to army losses. So, definitely a very tight game. Definitely some major mistakes on my part, trying not moving archers out of the way, and losing my heroes for not as much gain as I could have had. Had I been more careful, I could have definitely gotten a few more spells off and chipped down Marathi a bit better and that sort of stuff. Definitely not the ideal positioning for my Tomb Guard to shut down the cavalry interference. My archers suffered and couldn't quite shut down the Dark Shards fast enough because of that. And definitely some great usage of Burning Skull and Pit of Shades against my troops with my opponent's great magic supply. Because of Marathi, as well well as the sorceress, my opponent had a great selection of spells to crush my infantry, and he really took full advantage of it, destroying my skeleton archers and destroying my front line in the space of seconds. On my side, the Kepler Guard definitely paid their dues, as usual. The Shopti actually did rather well. And the Shopti are one of those units you wouldn't expect to do well against the Dark Shards and some of the anti-large, but they can actually do quite a bit of work. And they definitely dish out a lot more hurt than, say, Scorpion, which just kind of jumps around and does cause fear and terror, and it's hard to kill, but it just doesn't do that much damage, in my opinion. So definitely I got some good value out of some of these units. Definitely great value out of the Tomb King. The archers did their work when they could, but I definitely didn't position them ideally to make best work of them. But they did manage to annihilate some of the Black Ark Corsairs, some of the Witch Elves got chipped down, and even the Dark Shards took a beating. For my opponent, really that spell use was great. Personally, I think the Cold One Knights are a bit of an iffy pick against the Tomb Kings because they do have some pretty good counters. I think you're almost better served. It may just bring one unit of them, maybe dropping a Black Ark Corsair, or maybe two Black Ark Corsairs and a Witch Elf. Getting two Blackguard in there and a single unit of Cold One Knights, I think would be a better investment, despite the fact that it shortens your front line a whole bunch. Just because Blackguard can definitely just tank and slug it out with your monsters. That's kind of my opinion on it, but otherwise I do think this is a pretty solid build. It'll definitely tear through most of what Tomb Kings put on the field. So great game to my opponent, Devil here. I do hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. If you have any comments, criticism, any questions, anything like that, be sure to share them and I'll respond as soon as I can. As usual, guys, I do appreciate you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye for now.